Hello guys, and welcome back to some Warhammer 3 skill guide videos back on the channel. I do apologize, it's been, when I was looking, it's been almost a year since I've been making these, and it's just something I was looking over the channel this morning, and they've been doing really well actually, and I've been trying to find a way to get back into making some content and making little helpful videos or guides for whatever game I be playing here and there, and so I really want to dive back into this and get these skill guides completed. That way, hopefully, I can help someone that stumbles upon the channel in any way, shape, or form. So today, we are going to be going over Tamurkhan, the Maggot Lord. Now, granted, he is very straightforward. He's a military melee master, basically. And it's relatively straightforward, but the one thing I do like to start with, like I do with almost every single lord, if you're not familiar with the videos, basically I'll have the video split up in order of the kind of things that I recommend that you first get. So I call this the special skill line, the melee line, red line, blue, obviously because they're color coded, and then this is kind of like I just say the extra line. So, but with Tamurkhan, the very first point I like to put in is Root Marcher. It's almost routine, almost for every single legendary lord, just to get that extra 5% campaign movement range. Makes a huge difference whether you're trying to run down an enemy or grab onto a settlement. That way you can progress in your campaign at a decent rate. But actually after this, I really like to go down his melee line. There's really nothing in the blue line that is urgent. Unless you really want to go down for the upkeep cost reduction and campaign movement range, I just don't think that that's big of a deal when playing as Chaos. You're going to make loads of money in battle. Now that they've reworked how the Nurgle economy works, it works a lot better than what it used to. So money just isn't as big of a concern anymore when it comes to playing as a Nurgle faction. But the nice juicy thing that he has at the end of his melee line is Pestilent Decay, making him a Mortis engine, excuse me. And so we just want to make sure when he's getting stuck into melee that his melee defense here, as you can see, is really low. So I just like buffing that up. Like to hit into hard hit and deadly blade. And really, again, the goal is to get here as fast as possible. So fatigue stench, more hit points, and then blade and shield again. So just by going through his melee line, we're already at 60, so a plus 24 to his melee defense is pretty nice. Going through the progression here. Now, one thing I do like to get is at rank 12, you will unlock the Reputed Son of Kurgan, and the big one that I like to get is obviously regeneration. Now he starts off as being unbreakable. He's a Mortis engine, and he has regeneration, and he has almost 15,000 hit points. Compound that with his Nurgle's Favored Son ability, you're going to be able to give him more melee defense, more ward save for 40 seconds. Going to be just make him into a massive tank. These are pretty insane stats, and this is, just without any items on you. You're obviously going to find stuff that's going to boost something here or there. Turns him into a really nice fighter. But then after getting these, in terms of the special skill line and the melee line, it's really kind of up to you. There's no right or wrong. Outside of maybe the Puppet Tyrant, the Plague Ogres. Now, be it Plague Ogres, from what I remember, are fairly decent, but they are fairly slow. And then same thing with the Toad Dragons. Obviously, you don't need to emphasize placing too many points into the Lumbering Horror if it's, turn 20 and you have a Toad Dragon. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But, however, the Master of the Host is a very good ability for that upkeep cost reduction early on. So I do like to get Ferocious Maggot. That way you can get Master of the Host, and then you can always come back to the Puppet Tyrant and Lumbering Horror at a later date. But now what I like to do is I just like to finish out his melee line. Really, I know the extra I think it's 15 armor that you get isn't too big of a deal. But again, it's more about just making him a beast. I mean, if you look again now at his stats, like this is a pretty insane, melee attacker, front line, Mortis engine without any equipment. And obviously as you progress, you'll be able to get his Black Cleaver, getting more melee attack, more armor piercing damage, all good things there. Now before getting into the red line, I do like to come up to the kind of extra skills up here for a little bit. I do like to get the Bloated Carcass. The only, obviously, downside, if you zoom out, once you hit a high enough rank, you will get his Toad Dragon. and that's where you really need to be able to mitigate that missile fire because your armor is not that high. That's one thing you're fairly susceptible to. 75 armor really isn't that much armor, so getting that extra missile resistance will help reduce that by a fair amount. I do like to get Relentless Pursuer as well, just to give your army and your army some more speed, excuse me, and some vigor loss reduction, just so they fight better for longer. Your Kugat, or sorry, Kugat, your Tamurkhan, you're going to be doing a melee army. Your Nurgle, you're not going to have many missile units at your disposal outside of the soul grinders, so they need to be able to fight better for longer. And just where the enemy is the main focus of a Nurgle army is you're not going to win by just smacking the crap out of them. You're going to win by war of attrition. So that way they fight better for longer and they can move a little bit because obviously Nurgle units are also very slow. Now after this, I do like to come down to the red line after finishing up his melee line and some extra skills just to make his army that a little bit better. If we look at his bonuses for him personally, being the Maggot Lord, he favors the non-demonic units, and I really do like using them in his army. I like the fact that, you know, he specializes in something that is outside the demons all the time. So I do like to get the armor of Milady. Not that it's a huge buff, but the melee distinct plus 6 isn't bad, the armor plus 12. And then I also really like to get the Rot Eaters, mainly only for the Rot Knights. The Rot Knights are so freaking powerful in this game. Getting them some extra melee attack and charge bonus, why not? Blight Swarm, really good ability. Debuffing up to 5 enemies for a melee debuff of minus 20 for 20 seconds. Really, really good. I do like to grab the speed for the melee units and the virulent contagion. Just a bit of a buff from Blight Swarm. Really, really handy stuff. At this stage, I do like to come down the blue line. Nothing crazy. Just later in the campaign, depending on your economic situation, these can kind of fluctuate. If you want recruitment, if you want for more looting, corruption really isn't that big of an issue when playing as a demon faction. So I like to do the Blessed by Blight. Sure, let me loot some extra money. Big time here, especially since he's going to be that melee fighter up front. Getting some extra replenishment rate for him over the end turn. Not too bad there. I don't mind going down to the Renowned in Fear. The only issue is really, like, Nurgle does not struggle when there's loads and loads of armies because they have so many tools at their disposal to debuff the enemy. You know, again, you got Pestilent Decay, you got spells, you're going to have magic and whatnot coming in. So it doesn't really matter, again, too much what you pick here. It's more about just getting down to Renowned in Fear. And as you can see here, you still have 3 skill points left. So that's where, you know, if you want to come in and get some Plague Ogres, great, fantastic, just finishing up the skill tree. This is where I do like to get the Lumbering Horror, just for the extra uses of the Unspeakable Foulness, as well as the Unbreakable trait for your Toad Dragon, so they're going to be able to fight better for longer there. And then your last 2 points, you know, if you want to put them in a Puppet Tyrant, if that's how you're rocking, I don't use them that much, plus the extra plus 5, plus, and the, the Terror for Plague Ogres, not really that big of a deal. If this was like 10, 15 maybe, but extra 5 melee defense and melee attack, who really cares in my opinion. But I really do like the Mentor ability, especially in a melee lord that there's not really a whole lot going on for them in terms of complexity. Being able to share some of that experience with other people when they no longer need it is really nice and handy. But that is how I really like to do Tamurkhan. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Again, this is not a, if you don't do it this way, you're wrong at it. Obviously, if you want to buff some other units, that's totally fine. You want to go down the blue line, that's totally fine. This is just my personal take on how I like to handle him, just because he is such a stud in melee combat that I really like to get him rocking and rolling early on in my campaigns to pick it up. So again, please let me know what you guys think of the video. Let me know down in the comments of any lords that you would like me to do. And until the next video, I will see you guys later. Bye.